Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Major Applications Planning Committee. I'm Councillor Eddie Labour, the Committee Chairman. Welcome to those in the room and welcome to those who are joining us on the Council's YouTube website. I will do committee administration first and then I'll explain how the meeting works. Can I do apologies for absence first, please?
No apologies, Chairman.
Can I have declarations of interest in matters coming before tonight's meeting? No interest or none? Councillor Goddard.
Yeah. In respect of agenda item 11, Chairman, want to declare a non-pecuniary interest due to prior involvement.
And therefore you'll be leaving us.
I'll be stepping out and
okay, thank you.
Voting.
Noted. Can I have agreement to the minutes of the meeting 19th of February, which were part of your bundle? Okay. There are no matters notified in advance as urgent. We will be dealing with the agenda that was published by the Head of Planning, which contains planning matters 6 to 11 with one petition item. They're all in part 1. They'll therefore all be considered as part of the public meeting. Okay, a few bits of housekeeping. If the fire alarm goes off, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so therefore we will definitely be leaving. Fire exit's the door you came in. There's another fire exit immediately behind me in the right-hand corner. The normal best way out of this building is to go out of those doors, turn right and through the next set of double doors and down the spiral staircase, and that takes you out to the side. Could I please ask that all mobile phones are switched off or at least to silent? At the running of tonight's meeting, for each item, the planning officers will give us a presentation, which is in addition to the bundle members have already had, and you'll notice there are 2 large screens where various items of the plans will be put up for members to see, and that's in addition to the plan pack. There was an error in the circulated plan pack for the first item, Bourne Court, but it was only on the circulated plans to members. The website and everywhere else is correct. Once the planning officers have done their presentation on the one item, that is Bourne Court, where there is a petition, we will hear the speaker. They get 5 minutes. You watch the traffic lights, 4 green, 1 amber, and when you get to red, that's done. Applicant or their agent then has a right to speak. There are no ward councillors speaking tonight, although I do have a note from Councillor Kaufman in respect of the Bourne Court application. In terms of when people are speaking, you come up to the table, you press the button on the middle of the microphone, it lights up, and then we do your speaking time. That's how it works. Members may ask questions of anyone who chooses to speak to us. They may not. That's entirely up to them. If they've understood the points, they may well not do so. Those are the only speaking rights for tonight's meeting. Right, the voting members of committee tonight to make the decisions, I only get a vote if they manage to get a tie between them. I'm going to start on my left-hand side tonight. Why not? I'll just vary it around a bit. Councillor Duncan, Councillor Oswald, Councillor Morse, and then coming down the table on this side I have Councillor Edwards, Councillor Chapman, Councillor Tuckwell, Councillor Yarrow and Councillor Goddard. The officer team tonight who will provide us with various aspects of advice. Alan Tilley is providing our transport advice. Mandeep Malhotra, the Strategic Applications Manager, is our presenter. James Rogers, the Head of Planning, will offer us advice. Neil Fraser from Democratic Services is our clerk. And have you got any feedback forms there? And there are feedback forms if you wish to give Democratic Services some feedback, which they're always welcome. And Kerry Munro is our planning lawyer. That is all the administration done. I'm now going to go to agenda item 6, Bourne Court, Rice Slip on page 9. And it when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. The application before us on agenda item 6 is Bourne Court. There is a brief addendum on this item, which is primarily housekeeping. As Councillor Lavery has just mentioned, a revised plan pack has been circulated to all members. The printed version that was circulated with the committee report was in fact for the old scheme. I just wanted to clarify, whilst the plan pack was incorrect, the revised plans, which are now being considered, were subject to a full public consultation in February 2019. The council received numerous comments from members of the public on the revised plans in February, and we are confident that the plans have been duly presented to members of the public before this meeting, albeit your own plan packs were only circulated to you yesterday. The application seeks full planning permission for the redevelopment of the site, including what was the former lodge, Phoenix Day Centre and Wren Centre, which are now all demolished, to provide 87 residential units with associated landscaping, amenity space and parking. The application site is on the screen, identified in red, and to provide some context, this has been to committee before. On one of those occasions, it was joint application with a site in the corner known as Acorn Crescent. Just highlight it there. So the application site has no specific designations. It's in the parking management scheme, which is the yellow that's shown on the screen. This is the location plan which showed the former buildings which were located on the site, which have now all been removed. You'll see that from the site photographs that we have a little later on. The application proposes a slightly different layout. So the application has been to members before and was approved for 3 residential blocks. And I do have some comparison slides to show you what the extant scheme is. The proposed site plan now proposes, although it's shown on this site plan as 2 buildings, they are actually connected at upper floor levels, and you'll see that from the elevations. So this is one single block, and the L-shaped wraparound to the rear is the second block within the site. There is surface level car parking, shown in what I peachy pink, and then a central communal amenity space. This is again the proposed ground floor layout with the vehicular access coming from Bourne Court. This is the proposed first floor plan and the proposed second floor plan. So the building is only 3 stories in height and measures a maximum of 9 metres. This is the proposed roof plan, and these are the elevations. So this is the northeast elevation, the northwest elevations. This is, so I mentioned at the beginning that there was a block which had 2 ground floor areas and was connected at higher levels. So that's what you will see if you were to walk down or drive through onto Bourne Court to enter the site. Southeast elevations of Block A, southeast elevations of Block B, southwest elevations, and a building height comparison. So the building is lower than we previously gave permission for in building height form. Here's a brief overview of how the layout has changed. So when previously granted consent, so the extant scheme had a block running along its perimeter to the rear, sorry Councillor Duncan, and then blocks A and blocks B were 2 sort of U-shaped blocks. The primary access was exactly the same as it is at the moment via Bourne Court, but it didn't have the undercroft layout. You'll also notice that the amenity spaces were slightly more constrained, and I think one of the things we've managed to achieve in this scheme is a slightly better communal amenity space. The development consists at ground floor level of primarily all of the 3-bedroom family units and the 2-bed 4-person family units, and as such we've managed to secure some private amenity space for those larger family units that are within the development site. So that's these areas to the rear and also along here. So previously in this site it was a significant area of what would otherwise been buffer space and then communal amenity. We feel we've achieved a better proposal by virtue of giving family accommodation its own back garden. The northeast elevation, so by way of comparison, the scheme has changed. So this is a view you would see if you were along the runway elevation of the site. Previously it had a lengthy Block B elevation, a slightly smaller Block C, and it has changed to provide that layout. There is a residential along Canfield Road to the south of the site, and so I'll get on to Canfield in a minute. This is the change along the Bourne Court street elevation. So previously there was an opening where you would see Block C in the distance, whereas now there is a single built form along Bourne Court. This is the Canfield Way proposal. under the previously consented scheme, Block B had a much longer stretch, which was along the back of the Canfield Road properties, and they also had Block C. In the current layout, I want to try and help you understand this as clearly as possible. So this is the closest element to the Canfield Road properties along the south, and then here only. The rest of this area in the central section is actually set further away from the Canfield Road properties. These are some visuals that have been prepared, so that's from the internal parking area, and that's the side of the amenity space that you can see. This is the amenity area from within the site looking towards the runway. That's the entrance into the site from the existing Bourne Court access. And that's looking, so Bourne Court is visible just back there. We take you through some photographs. So this is Bourne Court itself. So the site has been hoarded off, and there are trees on the site but no built form. So if we carry on going through, there are two vehicular accesses leading to garages to serve the existing properties on Bourne Court on both sides of the site. And these are the garages. This is the site, which is currently unused. As I've mentioned in the presentation, planning permission has been granted at the site to provide 69 residential units with associated car parking. The application has been through a series of amendments and changes, and the Ministry of Defence raised significant concerns with regard to the height of the initial proposals. As a result, the scheme was amended and reduced down to 3 stories in height and 9 metres. This has withdrawn the Ministry of Defence's objection to the scheme. The scheme comprises a mixture of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom units, which are all well designed, and as I mentioned through the slide presentation, the 3 bedroom units and the larger 2 bedroom units are focused on having their own back gardens. The 2 main blocks have a central parking area, but have also allowed for the larger communal garden area. Although there have been local objections and a petition raised against the proposals, there are no objections to the principle of the development. It's considered it would achieve an acceptable appearance within the street scene, provide a suitable landscape setting, appropriate living conditions for future occupiers, and has no undue or unacceptable impact on the amenity of nearby residential occupiers. One of the things I was trying to demonstrate through the comparison slides is that the primary residents are on Canfield Road, and I believe that this scheme is actually providing a better outlet for them than the scheme that already has consent. Subject to conditions and planning obligations, the application is considered acceptable and recommended for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If I can have the petitioner now for this one, Norma West. If you'd like to take a seat, just press that button before you start, and then we're ready to go.
Right, I'd like to speak very briefly on behalf of the residents of Canfield and Bourne Court who signed the petition. Now, we all appreciate the concerns of some of the concerns of the petition have been alleviated because of the objections from the MOD. So we're very happy that it's going back down to 3 stories. We're still concerned that the number of units has gone up from 69 to 87 and was originally 49. It seems to go up each time, but it hasn't gone up to the 107 that they were trying to get. We are concerned about the impact on schools and GPs and surgeries and dentists. We're really struggling in the area. We've had 162 flats built on the Isle of site, 33 are being built on the Ackle Crescent site, and if this goes through, 87 on the Bourne Court site, which is 282 units. We're really concerned about overstretched infrastructure, and similarly we do remain concerned about the roads, because at the moment the council report says there will only be 20 to 25 vehicle increase during the rush hour, morning and evening rush hour. But even this will mean there are 25 vehicles queuing to get out of Bourne Court, which is a very, very, very short part of road. As a resident myself of Canfield Drive, I sometimes have to wait 10 minutes to turn out onto Station Approach because there's so much traffic and it gets completely gridlocked at times. So we hope the report's optimistic view will prove correct if this goes through, but we all share a lot of concerns, all the residents are concerned. We note the provision of 182 bicycles, and that's compliant with the 216 London plan, but we locally have no safe cycle lanes, and pedestrians have to dodge bicycles daily because very few cyclists feel that they're safe to drive on the roads. They're very, very busy, congested roads with lots and lots of side turnings, and for cyclists this can be quite hazardous. So I do applaud 182 bicycle stands being provided, but I do wonder who's going to use all of these bicycles in a very, very congested area. In Canfield Drive, we remain concerned about being overlooked by balconies and windows of the flats. I know that you've said about obscure glazing, which seems to be promised on the upper floor windows in the southwest elevation of blocks A and B, and non-opening below a height of 1.8 metres for windows. So that looks really good. And the balconies too, in the last report it said they were going to have privacy screens and fins. However, the actual report that I've got, I don't know if it's the one that you've had coming out wrong, but it actually has the wrong numbering. So the numbers that they're saying are going to be screened, the numbers of the properties that they say are going to be screened, for instance, flats 60, 59, 61 and 62, they're shown on the third floor of Block A, but actually they're on the ground floor of Block B. So I think maybe some of the revised documents weren't used. Maybe it was some of the older documents, the ones that weren't revised, because the numbering is totally different. And I did a little bit of work on it myself, and I noticed consistent differences. So I would just ask that somebody has a look at the numbering and just double check that, because obviously we need to know which ones are going to be overlooking and which ones aren't. Okay. That's fine. Balconies are fine. We are a little bit concerned about the density of the proposed development, particularly because it did say that the total site is 0.73 hectares and has a current PTAL of 2.
We've reached 5 minutes. Could I just ask
sorry.
you to just close up? Well, if there were a final point, I'll take it. But
we just feel that as the council are granting more and more and more, we're actually getting into that urban place, which is what we aren't at the moment.
Fair enough. I'll take the point. Do members have... There are one or two specifics, and I'll pick them up at this end in a moment, but do members have any questions before the petitioner goes? Councillor Oswald?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, thanks for the petition, and we've noted your concerns. In the comments that you previously made that are part of the report, it says that both the Bourne Court and Ackole Crescent sites have caused distress and damage to our property.
Yes, that was the lady on number 1 actually made that objection.
What was the damage?
Along the right, no, it's not up there. That's lovely. Here, this bit here is going to be. That is actually a pedestrian walkway out to Station Approach. At the moment, all the fencing is down, It's a chain link fence. It's all been cut and it's all been trodden down. It obviously needs to be built up. That also runs along the top of the Ackle Crescent site. So that's going to be a main walkway out from Bourne Court site and Ackle Crescent site. And at the moment, it backs onto Campfield Drive rear access driveway. And we're having a lot of drug dealing around there. We've had our garages vandalised. We've got lots of graffiti. That's normal. Also, we've had robberies, and they've gone in the back way.
That's existing public footpath, though, isn't it?
It's boarded off at the moment.
Okay, but it is
It is, and I hope it will be properly maintained and made secure.
We'll see where we go with that in a moment.
Thank you. Can I just come back, Chairman? Thanks very much. It says damage to our property. What I asked was, what was the damage?
Well, all I know is that the lady at number 1 had made that objection. That wasn't in the petition.
Okay, it seems that we haven't got that information.
So I haven't got any further information.
And I'm not sure it's entirely relevant to the new application.
No.
Councillor Duncan, you had a question.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you tell me if any of the properties in Campfield Drive that back onto this development, do any of them have extensions that would bring this closer to
almost
this development?
Almost all
of
have
them.
extensions.
So
yes.
Are these in the nature of sort of single-storey rear extensions?
Single-storey rear extensions.
3 metres deep,
3
of
metres
that kind
deep,
of
yeah. Our gardens are short.
Yes, I can see
as
that
you can
from
see.
the plans. Yes.
And in fact, the revised plan is, as you said, so much
I think
better.
I'll cut that there because
Sorry.
bear in mind, and I'll have to remind later, if the officer presentation is entirely correct, I'm sure it is, on this one, the new scheme is further away from Campfield Drive than we approved last time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well,
so
I appreciate that.
Okay.
so therefore,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an improvement.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's still within 1 metre of the boundary, though.
yes.
yeah, but it's an improvement on what
Yeah.
we've got. We are bound by what
Fine.
we've done before
That's
to a
okay.
degree. So,
Yes. And the rear access drive to Campfield Drive,
Yeah.
that isn't part of a public
No.
right of way,
No.
is
However,
it?
the public
Where-
right of way has all been trodden down so that anybody who did use that at the moment would be in.
It could.
Yeah.
But previously,
I'm sure it will be.
the rear access way was next to joined Campfield Drive, adjacent to number 2, and then went round the back so that people
It
could
does
get
now.
to garages.
It does now.
So that would be sealed off. It's just that this is a temporary measure, is it?
Yeah, and if the public walkway actually has fencing,
Yeah.
then it will be sealed
It
off.
will be sealed
Yeah.
off. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. What do I need to?
sorry, Councillor Morse did indicate.
Station approach, the road
Yeah.
there. What's your view on the level of traffic there, and how long in the morning is that road blocked? Because I'm completely aware it's an extremely heavily used road.
I've got to be honest, I'm not sure the resident is actually qualified to give you detailed information on that.
I suspect that Councillor Kaufman might have done
I have a
something about
comment
the
in here from the
traffic.
councillor, so I think I'll take it on that.
Yeah,
If-
because I didn't
don't-
talk to him as
it's-
well.
No, to be
Yeah.
fair, I think we'd be straying into
Yeah.
here saying that would be a little bit dangerous. Thank you for that. No, thank you, very helpful. Is the agent for this one here and going to say anything? No, thank you very much. I have a statement from the Ward Council which I shall just read now before I ask officers to be ready with some commentary around the issues that were raised in that presentation before we open up. Councillor Kaufman writes, as one of the Ward Councillors of South Ruislip, I wish to make the following comments with reference to the above agenda item. Given the amount of traffic this development will generate, I am concerned as to problems this will cause when vehicles try to enter or exit the development. Station Approach is one of the busiest roads in South Ruislip. At peak times, mornings and evenings, and weekends is at a standstill. May I ask that the committee consider 2 options. A box junction with CCTV to catch offenders that flout the rules and enter the box, well signposted. A traffic light system stops the traffic both ways and allows residents to enter or exit the site in a safe manner. A system like this operates on the West End Road at the White House Gates entrance to RAF Northolt. Please note that station approach is only a single carriageway, and therefore if nothing is done, it will cause major additions to congestion as vehicles wait to turn right into the site. I will ask the highways officers to comment on that in a moment. I would also note that there is some S278 money within this for highway improvements. And no doubt that, but I'll leave that open. Right, who's going to start with flats overlooking flat numbers in the report and other matters?
The petitioner mentioned condition 15. I think the wording isn't as precise as it should be, so I concur. For instance, it does mention first, second, third floor windows, and I see the development as a ground first and second floor development. So, in essence, the condition's clearly intended to cover those blocks facing, those elevations facing Canfield Drive. So if committee are happy, I think it'd be very straightforward to amend that condition so that it clearly and robustly covers all window openings facing Canfield Drive, and I think that would address that particular issue.
And are we satisfied none of those are habitable room windows with no other access?
And you'll see from the elevations, as Mandip explained, it's the left hand, right hand
okay,
blocks.
That's fine.
The outlook is isn't facing Canfield Drive.
Okay. So that was the biggest bit, I think, wasn't it, of the thing? Okay. Can we? I think Councillor Edwards, do you want to start on amenity space? If I can kick us off there.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The redesign of the amenity space and the increase in the number of flats causes me to question the amount of shared amenity space for those flats that do not enjoy their own private gardens. If you remove those numbers of flats from consideration, there's, I think, some 74 flats that have shared amenity space. And my very rough calculations using at home trying to measure off of these plans would suggest there's about a maximum 10 square metres of balcony space for each, if that. And the centre courtyard is hardly generous. I would think it's probably some 400, 450 square metres, which would make it substantially short. The report does recognise a degree of shortage, but only by a few square metres. I actually think it's substantially greater when it comes to those flats needing shared amenity space. And the report mentions also the availability of a local playing field and says it's some 150 metres away. And a question for me would be, what is that access route that is 150 metres away to the playing field, because I can't see it or work that out. So that's a point I'm making about the shortage of amenity space and a question about the route to the public amenity space.
Two good points. Perhaps I can take a comment. The one first is, where is that public amenity space and how do you access it? Would be
yes, within
the 100, question 1 and 2.
Within the 150 metres that the report says it is.
Can I start with? I'll start with the other question.
Okay.
Sorry. The way in which we calculate the amenity space requirement is that we allow flatted development to share communal amenities. So if you look at the calculations, which are on page 43, yes, there is a shortfall of 45 square metres. However, that is some.
Sorry, what we're not doing here is sharing all of that square metres of amenity space. Some of it is private. If you measure the shared amenity space, it is substantially less.
I think
what we'd have is an over-provision of private amenity space enjoyed by the ground floor flats and an under-provision of shared amenity space for those flats that don't have gardens.
Which is different to most flatted schemes we see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the point you're making. Yeah.
It is different, but where we're trying to encourage and achieve family accommodation in a climate where there isn't a lot of family accommodation coming forward, it's primarily the ones in the 2-bedroom units. We feel that this is a better, more efficient use of the land, as opposed to the previous site plan where we felt that the communal amenity was less likely to be used because it was directly outside of someone's bedroom window, kitchen window. So whilst there are pros and cons to quantity over quality, I think the quality has been achieved here as well as quantity of a central amenity space at ground floor level.
Just add to the point Mandat's made. When we look at internal floor areas, there's national floor space standards, there's London plan standards, there's Hillingdon standards. There's a kind of golden thread that basically means whenever we have substandard internal floor areas, we can actually be very robust on those, and committee will be very familiar that we've often refused flats that have slight deficiencies in internal floor areas. But on the external amenity space, there's differing policy interpretations at national, London plan and at the local level and in our guidance. So there is a reason why we tend to be a bit more flexible in how we look at external space, but very strict in how we interpret internal space.
If I may come back, Mr. Chairman, if you look at our SDP residential layouts at page 12, it gives the meterage expected for the delivery for 1-bedroom flats, 2-bedroom flats and 3-bedroom flats, and it says the above guidelines are intended as a minimum. Exceptions to garden area requirements will only apply in special circumstance, such as the provision of small non-family housing, predominantly made up of 1-bedroom units in town centres. It seems as though our own policies, which is what I need to be guided by, is creating a different expectation in my judgment around this shared amenity space.
I think the point Mandat was making is it's the 1-bed town centre units that would be reliant on the communal amenity space, and the family units that get the gardens.
If you look at a number of the flats that don't have private amenity space, you will find they're 2-bedroom, 4 persons, even on the top floor.
Have they just remind
you've
got them open. I haven't.
They have a small balcony of about 10 square metres. So we are talking about family housing here. We're not talking about single 1-bed flats or studios.
Anybody else want to come in on that bit of the argument before I move it on to other bits? Councillor Morse.
When I looked at the density level, this is an urban density level, the first thing I looked for was amenity space. And I started looking at this and I could not work out, because there's a certain amount of this was private, and I totally agree with Councillor Edwards' point. It's not clear that we are providing it, even though the planning report is saying it. So I did not understand where we are on this issue, because I cannot clearly understand the report and be certain that we are giving enough amenity space.
Yeah, effectively the report is saying the numbers work, but a chunk of it is, yes, which isn't in the report, is the point, yes. Yeah, no, that's a fair challenge to the report. Anybody else got any view? Councillor Duncan.
Well, it's difficult to read these plans, I find, but on the business of the overlooking to Camfield Drive, there are units.
Councillor Duncan, could I just stick on amenity space for a minute?
Oh, right.
So I want to bottom that one out before we move on.
Well,
otherwise I'll lose the thread if I'm not careful.
Well, on the issue of amenity space, I'm pleased that there are balconies, because I do think that people on upper levels, it does give them some access to fresh air and ability to sit out on hot days. But it's I think the communal amenity space is too small, and I think this is a result of the increased density. I mean, I think it's great that the family units do have some private space so that children can play out safely, families can sit out there, but I do think that putting in many more units, or this number more units, has reduced the communal amenity space, and it's trying to get that balance right. It might add up to you know,
But
it's
on
just
an
under
adding
the-
up basis, we wouldn't certainly not have any basis to go anywhere because we'd only be 45 square metres
That's
short.
Right. That's right.
Which
It's
is,
not
if
out.
you look at the report, you would tick that as
Yes.
good to go.
Yes,
The arguments that Councillor Edwards is advancing
is that the communal space
is the
is
communal
inadequate.
space is too little
Yeah.
for the number of unit or significant, and we don't know how little at the minute because we haven't got that calculation, I don't think, and no one's giving it to me, so I suspect nobody's got it.
I think that particular point, though, would be hard to defend at appeal. So the first thing the inspector will do is look at the surrounding area. We'll see all the prior approvals on the runway, where a lot of them obviously are very deficient in amenity space. So that's part of the character of the area. And then you've got this development, which is definitely superior to the developments in terms of, because we weren't able to control all the other material planning considerations on the runway. And then, as I mentioned, that golden thread that enables us to be robust on internal floor space, where this does tick all the boxes. If it's solely a slight deficiency in external amenity space, when you've got lots of balconies to virtually every unit and a number of gardens, plus there is an amenity space, I think it starts to get rather difficult. So I'd be slightly concerned at the possible direction of travel.
I do understand the argument. I appreciate the position, but I'm very much support Councillor Edwards in this, and I don't think we should be taking our standards in Hillingdon from prior approvals where you can't define.
We won't get started on prior approvals.
Yeah,
they're
but
never my
just to
favourite.
make this clear, prior approvals we have very, very little control over, and nothing about the facilities, the amount of amenity space that people have. So we should not be taking our standards from that, and that's why we do have a development plan, we do have a local plan, we do have policies, we do have design guides.
Okay. I'll take any other views on that, and then I'll park that and move for a minute, because otherwise we'll be here for hours. Anybody else got any other views? I've got 3 people who have got a concern, I think, at the moment. If I could hear from others, I'd be grateful, please. Councillor Chapman, sorry, yes.
Sorry, well, just for the record, to echo what other people have said, basically. If you look at the site plan, which I think also doubles up as the ground floor plan, you've got very generous, particularly in the 4 corners, very generous private space. But I'm afraid if you're on the 1st and 2nd floor, you can only look down on that quite enviously, really, sort of thing.
Okay.
And the only bit of what I would regard as genuine amenity space is sort of 50 yards away, the other side of 2 rows of cars. So I very much echo what Councillor Edwards and others have said.
Do we know where that the external, because the external amenity space is relevant to this.
Yeah, the actual off-site.
Yeah, where is the off-site? Because I can't work it from the plans, and my memory's not that good. So.
I'll try and go back. So you can see the corner of it here.
It's supposed to be 150 metres tops. So where is it?
You can just see the corner.
It's just here, and I would just say that it's actually 526 metres away. And I apologise that someone has taken a non-walking route in order to calculate that when writing the report, and it should have been picked up sooner. So
that's a mile away then.
500 metres would be down Bourne Court, along Station Approach, and then travel north.
Okay. Third of a mile. Okay, well that's not round the corner. That's not next to it.
Now the London Plan standard is that there should be a 400 metre walking distance approximately for older children. So I don't think that also is a strong enough distance away. I'll leave you.
Okay. Do we know? Just one last question, and then I want to explore the rest of this before we decide what we do with it in a minute. Do we know if we deduct? I'm trying to get the question right. If we deduct the private amenity space, and somebody will correct me if I get the question wrong in a minute. If I deduct the private amenity space from the 2045 or the 2,000 square metres, what's left? That's the right question.
Yeah. I will do the measurements and come back.
Okay. Because it's a question of what's left. What does that then do for the remaining properties? I know some of it's balconies as well. We'll have to factor that in a minute, but I'm just trying to get an understanding. Right. Other issues on this one, please. Councillor Morse, Councillor Duncan, anybody else? Councillor Tuckwell.
Just one minor point. The community space pointed out is actually under the flight path, so it might not be actually environmentally too attractive.
God. Yeah, with the flight. So this will probably. Councillor Duncan, did you want to come back on overlooking?
I did, yes, thank you, Chair.
Go on.
I do have concerns about this. I mean, I know you pointed out that this is further away, and Mr. Roger advised that any windows to habitable rooms would be obscured glaze, but
there weren't any. It was what I was advised.
No, there are some. Sorry, as I was saying, this plan is difficult to read, but on this first floor, there are kitchens.
Well, I haven't got page numbers now. Done it.
232?
Yeah, it's 232 and 233. There are kitchens, but there's also a single bedroom.
Have we got a flat number on this single bedroom?
Yes, the single bedroom is 13, but I think it's ground floor. Is that ground floor?
Yeah.
It's so minute. I'm sorry, I can't...
No. You've had these late, so this is part of the issue we have.
Sorry, I was afraid I should have clarified. It's the first and second floor I was referencing, and they're galley kitchens, so they don't count as habitable rooms. So it's only on ground floor that you've got it's on the 3-bed, 5 persons, numbers 13 and 59.
So the ones above.
But they're ground floor.
Right.
So they wouldn't be a problem.
Thank you very much. The other thing is the distance across the courtyard of these units here. If we look across.
You're in the corner, yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
In the
I'm with
corner
you.
of the main block. And that distance seems to be, they are 2 habitable room windows, and they seem to be between bedroom windows, and it looks, as far as I can work out, to be something like about 14 metres. So it's definitely not 21 metres.
Well, I'll ask for clarification.
And as they're bedroom windows, we would not have obscure glazing there, I believe.
Most.
No.
Councillor Tuckwell, could you just start your point off, and then...
Sorry. Yeah.
You've got a choice between 2, but just use one.
Having a stereo.
Having a stereo, yes.
No, not stereo.
It's in relation to the refuse collection. I know there's a condition in the report, but just got some concerns in where the bins are stored, in particular the one that's adjacent to flats 9 and 8, and how actual collection of waste is going to be facilitated, given that there's a tree and a car parking space. I've also got some slight concerns over, I guess these are going to be large wheelie bins, and the access, safe access for quite a large vehicle to come in, turn around, and be able to sort of collect the bins safely.
Two different questions there, I think. Where perhaps the highways officer will just confirm the tracking, because we've either got tracking or we haven't, and I hope we have. In terms of the other item, there is an item in the addendum which may solve the problem, because that was missed. There's a waste management, because they've got to come up with a waste management plan. That might solve that one. Yeah. Alan, are you happy? Where is the bin store? Where is the refuse lorry coming into on this, and has it got proper turning in forward gear, in and out with a proper turning head?
Thank you, Chairman. My colleague has provided the highway comments on this application, so any concerns he would have had would have been included in this report, but I must say that I have not personally seen any tracking drawings. I will refer that to my colleague, if that's satisfactory.
And it's not covered in the report, so, okay, right, that's that one. I know where we're going in a moment. Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I think in the... Thank you, Chairman. I think in the ground floor plan, you can just about see where the tracking will go, basically turning left just after flat 62, sort of thing. I'm comfortable possibly, and it'll then reverse. My worry, which I'd echo what Councillor Tuckwell has said, if you're looking building A, where the bins are,
Yeah.
I appreciate within the addendum
Yeah.
it says waste management.
Yeah.
I don't see how the waste management plan can be done, actually, because, as Councillor Tuckwell says, potentially there's a wall of cars in the way. If you look where the tree is,
Yeah, I am looking.
you've got going south, well, going down on the diagram and going to the right on the diagram. You've got car spaces.
I'm with you.
Even if there was no cars there, you've probably got about 40 yards to shuffle 10 enormous bins. But with cars all there,
The other query would be, if that is the tracking, that would suggest a reversing very large vehicle, which definitely would require management
you either reverse it in, so to speak, or you reverse it out.
in an area with pavement and children.
So there is a tracking diagram submitted with the application, and it does demonstrate that you can enter in forward gear, reverse, turn left in between the two rows of parked vehicles. You then reverse your refuse vehicle towards the bank of disabled bays close to the bin store, and then it pulls out in forward gear from into Bourne Court when it exits.
And is that deemed an acceptable way to come in and out?
So you're going into the site in forward gear, and then the refuse vehicle leaves the site in forward gear.
Yeah, but it's got to turn round in a car park with children, with flats. I'm not getting more comfortable, I'm getting less at the moment, if I can be truthful. Okay, I think I've got enough. Members have concerns, and there is another one that hasn't come out yet, I think. There's also concern, the Metropolitan Police have concerns about gating on this one. I know gating is against policy, and I generally don't like it. Equally, we've another large car park going in, and antisocial behaviour in car parks is becoming a favourite occupation at the moment. So, I'm going to suggest, and if I get members' approval in a moment, that officers, we defer this one and take it back. I think we need either an amended scheme to sort the amenity space out. We certainly need some clarity on what that amenity space shortfall is for the flats. We need clarity on the waste arrangements, and the council has made a valid point that can we actually get the thing out of the bin past the parked cars and down, question mark. Have you got another bit to that?
I was just going to say, we've talked about the vehicle. Bearing in mind the central location in the middle of the L, so to speak, I'd be interested to know, if you use the ground floor map, what the walking distance is from flats 13 and 12 at the bottom of the thing to actually get to the bin store.
Well, some of them could be up to 50 metres.
Yeah. And again, is that acceptable? Is that the norm?
Well, no, it isn't. It's well beyond the norm, but that's why there needs to be a waste management plan to address that. So that bit could potentially be addressed. The other concern that, looking at, now I've got into-vehicle tracking for 2 seconds, that vehicle is tracking and reversing right past the community amenity space where there might be children's space. Councillor Oswald, have you got any more? Because I'm going to move this for deferral.
And the distance between in the corners, please.
Yeah, a distance between the corners, thank you. Yes?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. I don't think really we've got all the information we
No,
should
we
have
haven't.
in this report.
We haven't.
I think we should have a tracking report anyway. When I looked at these, well actually, when we were looking at them earlier, before we came in here, we had some concerns about this anyway, especially with Station Approach. I'm pretty sure we all know it's a really, really busy road anyway, so we have to take that into consideration as well, I think. Although, I don't know what we can do about that. I know there's a section 278 here somewhere, whether or not we can use that to solve some of the problems with the busy road, but I think, Chairman, that we should probably defer this until we get the information that we really need, because I think we've all got some concerns about this.
The other thing, if I could just, before Councillor Morse comes in, I haven't forgotten you, but the Head of Planning is, at the moment, there are 96 spaces on this, which is over 1 to 1. So if it dropped back to 87 on a revised scheme, Of course, that does give a bit more room to work some other things. I think that might, generally 1-to-1 is about as good as we get. It's nice to get a few more, but if it's taking out something else, I think there's maybe a compromise that can be worked. Councillor Morse, one more point.
Regarding the traffic measurement, generation method, originally the developer used the travel database, which is well out of date. Are we satisfied? They then used tricks, but he used a site outside of Greater London. If we're doing this checking, can we do some tricks checking on the model?
A valid question. Okay. Can I ask someone to move deferral for me? Thank you. Councillor Oswald did, sorry, and your second. Can all those in favour of deferral please clearly show? Thank you very much. Right. Right, I'm now going to move to something that should be a little easier. Well, it better be, because you've seen it once before. Right, item 7 is Legion House, Uxbridge Road, Hayes. It's deferred by this planning committee on the 9th of January, because we wanted some further information regarding the FBA, which is in your report, and frankly we've probably got about as far as we can get with that. I know they are as clear as whatever, but FBAs are FBAs. The person who comes up with a really good way of explaining them can tell me. In addition to that, there are some changes in the addendum to tighten some conditions, and Mandip, do you have a verbal change on the parking permits one as well, don't you?
The verbal update is that we would like to replicate the parking permit wording in the head of term as drafted in the Bourne Court report. So it excludes blue badge holders, and we are seeking to ensure that developers are notifying residents that it is a car-free development. That they have restricted ability to apply for, they can't apply for parking permits. Otherwise, they have a habit of forgetting to tell people and then them discovering the hard way. Has anybody got any other, the officer will do your presentation, but has anybody got any other questions on this one, being we haven't seen it before and our questions appear to have been answered? Right? I would agree with that. Right. Councillor Osborne wanted to move. Councillor Edwards was happy to second. All those in favour, please show me. Thank you. Sorry I just need to move a little bit, otherwise we'll be here all night. Item 8, you gave a presentation here. 6, Roundwood Avenue, Stockley Park. I'm not doing this one for the officers. This is an extension amendment to a building on Stockley Park, so just bear in mind it's kind of the increase that's the relevancy here. Mandip, please. Thank you, Chair. The application site, as has been mentioned, is in Stockley Park. There is a brief addendum on this item, which is primarily housekeeping, so apologies for that. The application is seeking permission for the refurbishment of the existing building, as well as a small 2-storey extension. Refurbishment includes the recladding of the structures, including roof plant with hard and soft landscaping. Now, this application, unlike others that come before us at Stockley Park, has no increase in car parking. There is reconfiguration of the existing car park, but no increase in car parking or significant. I'll take you through the plans, which I will be honest are not the easiest to read, so bear with me. So the application site is in Stockley Park. The grey on this plan is the car parking area. This is open, and this is the vehicular access for refuse, etc. If we go to the existing floor plan, I'm not sure if you can even make this out, but this is the same reference that you will see in the bottom corner, so GLA and GLX. Only by looking at those do you actually understand where the extension is. So this is the existing ground floor, existing first floor, existing roof plan, existing north elevation, east elevation, south and west. So that's the existing building. These are sections through. We take you to the proposed floor plan. So the extension is here. So it's this small section here, and then if I go through to the proposed ground floor plan, so the existing ground floor comes to here. So it's this area on the bottom of this plan, which is the 2-storey extension. This is the proposed first floor plan, so the extension is going up 2 stories, and then the roof plan and the proposed elevations, which are seeking to reclad and refurbish this existing office block. The proposal has been considered to be acceptable. It's been through pre-application discussions with the Council's Conservation and Design Officer, who has shaped sort of materials and so on, because the site is close to locally listed buildings within the Stockley Park area. The application is recommended for approval, and I'll take you through some site photographs. So this is a bird's eye view, so you can clearly see the parking area to the north with the main building here, and this is primarily open grassed area. These are the elevations of the existing building. There have been a lot of applications of late to reclad and refurbish the blocks within Stockley Park, and I think it's just a sign of the age of the buildings. It's a positive that the applications are coming before us with small extensions, so we're looking at intensifying the site which is a designated business park, and also refurbing and adding to the quality of the accommodation that we have in the borough. So again, that's the application site. This you'll see on the plans is where the part of it is the refuse store, part of it is the plant, so that's the refuse vehicle area. And the application has been recommended for approval.
Okay, you've got the addendum on this one as well. Members, Councillor Edwards. Okay.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm very pleased to see continued investment in the borough. It seems to be wholly policy compliant. It makes an attractive modern building, and I will move officer's recommendation.
Okay, I'll hold that just in case members have got any questions on this side.
If there's any additional planting, because I noticed the landscaping is being reconfigured, can we make sure that the planting is good for absorbing pollution? I know this is quite a low density area here, but the more we do put that in our conditions, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Otherwise, I'll second it.
Okay, I'll take that and hold it and just ask Councillor Oswald for his comment.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. Yeah, I'm quite happy to second it, but I think that's already been done.
You were one behind the running order.
Yeah, it is a premier business park. I was watching a programme on the TV a couple of years ago, and they said that this is one of the best business parks in Europe. Not just in the UK, but in Europe. So, yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. It's in my ward as well, so I'm quite happy to see it carry on.
Okay, we are proposed and seconded. Nobody else has raised any hands. All those in favour, please clearly show me. Thank you very much. That one's approved. We go on to another refurbishment, but we're back down at Heathrow and hotels now, so we may not be so positive and glossy about this one. Renaissance Hotel, Bath Road.
Thank you, Chair. Most of you will already know the Renaissance Hotel, so the application proposes a 5th floor extension to the existing hotel building. It is going to primarily provide a new restaurant and bar, meeting rooms, gym area, and only a small additional increase of 28 bedrooms in terms of hotel provision. So it's really seeking to deliver sort of ancillary facilities to improve its offer. The Renaissance Hotel is located on the southern side of Bath Road. So its northern perimeter is the Bath Road, and its southern perimeter is the Heathrow Perimeter Road. Northern perimeter, apologies. The application site has no constraints, and I say that by way of conservation area. It obviously has its own constraints in terms of air safeguarding and the flight path, etc. So we have had consultation with the Ministry of Defence and BAA, and there have been no objections raised to the increased height. The block plan shows the application site, which is primarily two interconnected buildings with central courtyards, and then parking predominantly around the remaining area of the site. There is a significant amount of parking on the site, and some of it is being reconfigured to provide a better layout through the application. There isn't actually, again, an increase, which is positive in terms of air quality, and also because it's already over-provided against standards. This is the existing 3rd floor, so this is not going to change. It is being built on top of, and this is the existing roof plan. These are the west and north elevations, the east and south elevations as existing. Some sections, and this is the proposed site plan. So the red denotes some additional works, and then it is difficult to see, but there is a slight reconfiguration of the parking. Proposed ground floor plans. There is a lift shaft proposed internally proposed 4th floor plan, so this is the new rooftop extension, and these are the proposed sections. I do have some visuals. I know you're not always the biggest fan of visuals, but I do have some which might help you to see the difference in the proposal. So it's primarily this area here which comprises the rooftop extension. These are proposed sections. These are photographs of the site, so this is the main facade, surrounded by a swathe of car parking. We'll take you to some Bath Road photographs as well. So this is the perimeter road, and this is the Bath Road frontage, and then this is the hotel on the opposite side of Bath Road. Visuals are in here somewhere, I promise. There you go. So this does show where the upper floor extension is going, and that's the Bath Road elevation. That's perimeter road. The principle of the intensification of the use of the site is considered to be acceptable, given that the existing use is also as a hotel. The proposal doesn't raise specific amenity or environmental issues. The scale and the design of the proposed extra floor are also considered to be acceptable for this location, given that the Bath Road has quite a significant, is quite considerable in its size. That's a dual carriageway. The additional height remains appropriate in scale and rhythm. The building would sit comfortably within the site and not adversely impact on the character and appearance of the area. Parking provision is considered acceptable, and 5 parking bays are also being replaced to provide additional disabled bays, which is also acceptable because I don't believe they are policy compliant at the moment. Electric vehicle charging is also proposed, improving the sustainability of the site. The application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions and a legal agreement.
Councillor Duncan?
Yes, I don't have any problem with this. I mean, the Bath Road is well known for hotel development. We need to provide more of it. We've been advised in the plans, so this is a good way of providing it, and it seems to be in keeping with the road and the existing buildings, so I move officer's recommendation.
Councillor Yarra?
I'll second that.
Okay. No other speakers, thank you. All those in favour, please show me. Thank you very much. I move to item 10, St Helens School, Eastbury Road, Northwood.
Thank you, Chair. Again, there is a brief addendum on this item, and by way of a verbal update, unfortunately we have captured in the addendum the wrong deletion, so we actually want to delete condition number 11 because it's duplicated within the landscaping condition, and that relates to lighting, albeit the title of the condition has been incorrectly reported in the officer report. That is the only verbal update on this application. I'll take you through the slides. So the application site is a smaller portion comprising the Fitzwalter building of St Helens School in Northwood. This is the application site, and you'll see from the site constraints that the site is located within a conservation area. This is the site location plan, so this shows the wider St Helens School, and the area in red on the left-hand side of this plan shows the Fitzwalter building itself. This is the site plan showing the existing Fitzwalter building. We do have photographs as well to provide clarification, and this is the proposed layout. So we're looking at providing a new facility for educational use, as well as a link to the existing buildings on site. This is the existing ground floor plan, existing first floor plan, and the existing roof plan. These are the existing elevations for the school, existing sections. This is the proposed site plan, so we have just seen that as well. Proposed ground floor plan, proposed first floor plan showing the connection between an existing building and then the proposed block, and the proposed roof plan. These are the proposed elevations of the property. I'll take you through some photographs. So this is a photo of Eastbury Road looking south, and that is the Fitzwalter building just there. It's quite well screened, albeit this is obviously a summer view in terms of photographs. This is the vehicular entrance that you can see on the plans that runs up towards and in front of the Fitzwalter building. And this is part of the June Leader building, which is a recent addition to the site. So it lies to the application site lies to the south of this building. Again, another one of the June Leader building, and that's just more of the application site in its wider context. This is the flank elevation of the Fitzwalter building. The front elevation is viewed from Eastbury Road. Again, the front elevation. Apologies for the duplication. These are some views of the proposal. So the building on the left denotes the existing building, and this is the new proposal. So this is the link that connects the older building and the new extension proposals. This is taken from within the grounds, facing the Eastbury Road. So I'm not sure if I can clarify that, because I have got a sort of tweaked plan. This is, so providing some context, this is the application extensions that we're considering at the site. And this is a view from the car park, so essentially the Eastbury Road frontage. The proposal involves the demolition of the existing Fitzwalter building to provide a new contemporary two-storey science, technology, engineering and maths building. This would be used to supplement the existing teaching accommodation and assist in easing the pressure on existing overused classrooms. The main senior school is clustered along the western boundary with the main visitors' entrance. Specialist accommodation is located along the western boundary, including the new music building in the southwest of the site, as well as the Mackenzie and Lund that have recently been refurbished. Fitzwalters is located amongst the specialist accommodation due to its current use as the music building. Once the music building is completed, Fitzwalters will no longer have any use. The applicant has worked positively with officers, including the Conservation and Design Officer, given its sensitive location in a conservation area, and it's considered that the scheme that we have before us is the correct scale, orientation and high quality design to meet the immediate and future educational needs of the school, and to justify the removal of the existing Fitzwalters building in this instance only. It's deemed that there's a clear synergy with the nearly completed School of Music in terms of design, materials, detailing and roofscape, so I think you can see that you should have seen that from the visuals. The development approach is also aligned with the master plan for the site that comprehensively addresses the need to expand and redevelop appropriate areas of the site only, whilst maintaining the sensitive sites within this conservation area. The applicant has put forward a strong justification for the redevelopment, such that the loss of the existing building is considered to be outweighed by the benefits of the proposal. Most notably, the Council's Urban Design and Conservation Officer has raised no objections on this basis, and accordingly the principle of development is considered to be acceptable. The development would have very limited, if any, impact on residential amenity and would not result in any increase in pupil numbers to or from the site, as it is simply seeking to accommodate the existing pupil numbers. So there is a pupil cap in place at the school, and we would not be increasing that cap in pupil numbers. Taking all matters into consideration, the scheme complies with planning policies and is considered to be acceptable and recommended for approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Okay, there was one more verbal update. I think the addendum refers to 5% of 11 as a figure, and it should be one active and one passive electric vehicle point, because half of each is a little difficult to configure. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Chairman. I can understand local residents' concerns around the loss of the Fitzwalter building, because it is attractive. There's no doubt about it. But in itself and in its context, there is nothing that says it is of such value that we should thwart the desires of the school to provide enhanced facilities, particularly around science and maths and technology teaching for girls, which I think is to be greatly encouraged. Therefore, I do believe that the loss of this building, although attractive, although part of the conservation area, is warranted, and I support this development.
Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. Yes, I concur with that. On the plan, these sloping roofs, I thought they would be for solar panels or something like that, but nothing like that is shown, and I wondered why that I mean, admittedly, it's better design, but I wondered why that was done, because if you're just linking it to the science block, you're linking it to a science block, do the same kind of thing. But introducing these, as soon as I saw them, I thought, oh, well, that will be for sustainable reasons. Is that the case? They're not shown on the drawings?
So within the addendum, we did pick up on the fact that we don't have a roof plan, and the applicants or the submission is currently proposing photovoltaic PV panels on the roof slopes. So what we've tried to do by amending condition 8 through the addendum is to try and encourage the PV panels to sit flush on the existing pitch of the roof rather than have further protrusion by a further pitched PV panel.
Yeah. So the intention is to have them, but that they're not visible. That's right. So they don't impact the conservation area, but you're quite right, they do the job they're supposed to do. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. With that, are we okay? Councillor, were you proposing in a form of words? And Councillor Morse is happy to second. All those in favour, please show me. Thank you very much. Councillor Goddard is about to take an early departure from this meeting, but won't go too far because he's back for the next one. Okay, if I can then move to Uxbridge College, please, the final item.
Thank you, Chair. Again, there is a short addendum on this item, but I also have one verbal update. The addendum at the moment has provided members with information that we have started a 21-day reconsultation with local residents. Now, we, through the course of the application, received a new red line boundary plan. When you receive a new red line boundary plan, you need to reconsult residents because that is what your approval is based upon. On that basis, we have gone out to public consultation again. We have already received an objection, which I will address shortly. And what we're looking to do is amend the recommendation to read that subject to no new substantial issues being raised through the public consultation period, that delegation be given to the Head of Planning, Transportation and Regeneration to review and address any comments that are received, and then thereafter proceed to determine the application in accordance with whatever members determine this evening. The verbal update I would require is that we change the date of the completion of the legal agreement because currently it needs to be completed before the consultation ends. So we're looking to move it to the 31st of May 2019.
Get the housekeeping in the right order.
Yes. I'll take you through the application slides. So you'll see that there are several red lines on this plan, and that's primarily because this is the area where the new educational facility is going, as well as the decked car park, and the smaller red lines denote the areas where the college is re-providing some additional car parking for that which is displaced around the site. So we go through the location plan. That just shows a little bit more clearly where the primary educational facilities are in dark grey. This is the existing surface level car parking area, and this is the sports centre and Lido. This is the campus layout. So the areas shaded in red on this plan is where we're proposing to provide, where the application seeks to provide additional surface level car parking, where there currently isn't any at the moment. This is the proposal for the decked car park over to the left, so an up and a down arrangement, and this area here denotes the extension for teaching facilities. So in context, that is this area here. This is the proposed car deck at ground floor level and the car deck at first floor level. We have received concerns from local residents with regard to noise, light pollution as a result of the intensification of car parking on the site. We have proposed louver screens at first floor level to prevent any light spill from vehicles, and the distance of this car parking deck is quite significant to the local residents, and only on that basis is it deemed to be an acceptable solution in terms of providing additional vehicles. I'll take you through a site plan so you can see the context of where the closest residential properties are. This is the proposed first floor of the teaching block, second floor plan, roof plan. and that's the proposed elevations. And these are some visuals that take you through the proposed new block. The plan, I think it's view 3, so this would be new teaching accommodation. And just here you can just about make out where the decked car park starts. And this is a better visual of the decked car parking, so you can see the louver screens at upper floor level to try and prevent noise and light pollution to local residential properties. The plan at the bottom does denote where the closest residential properties are to the south, along here. The application seeks planning permission for the erection of a new 3-storey building with a single-storey glazed link to the existing facility and the reconfiguration of 54 parking spaces on a decked car park and throughout the site. The proposal seeks to expand the education provision offered at Uxbridge College for young adults and acquire a new status as an institute of technology. This is acceptable in principle and supported at various levels throughout the council in terms of employment skills generation and bridging some of those gaps that exist. Given that the proposal involves building in an area of the campus that has been previously developed as a car park, the visual impacts of the proposal are unlikely to be of significant detriment to the character of the area. There is no objection to the reconfiguration of car parking and the proportionate increase in the number of car parking spaces. As part of the college expansion, a travel plan for the campus would also be adopted. Now, we have also received concerns with regard to the parking provision at the Hillingdon site, so the college, so that's the site to the north. Sport and Leisure Complex, I'm sorry. Primarily that students are using the Sport and Leisure Complex car park when they are visiting the college and therefore not utilising the actual college car park. We have therefore secured measures to provide a better facility. We've sought a contribution to try and improve the arrangement between the two parties and also to provide gated access into Uxbridge College, which is currently just an open access point. So we are trying to improve this scenario in terms of not just antisocial behaviour, but also the overspill parking and the problems that we have at the moment. There is also a proposal to try and seek some clarification from the college about who has first priority over getting a car parking space. So we believe at the moment it's disabled students and those that come from out of the borough. That should encourage more sustainable modes of transport. We are going to get clarification on that by virtue of a condition and try and marry that up with the proposed travel plan. Accordingly, the application is recommended for approval. We do have local objections, but I believe I have been through the majority of the issues that have been raised through the course of the presentation. Thank you.
James?
Amanda did focus on local objections for quite a bit of the presentation, but I just did want to emphasise on pages 209, 210, the Council's Economic Development Partnerships Manager cites the many positive benefits of this proposal, and I know his comments echo those of the local strategic partnership and a number of corporate partners that I know are very supportive of this particular application. Thank you.
Yarrow?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, it's in my ward, and I'm delighted to say that I have not received any adverse comments from Brearley Close, which is the area of residential properties that are closest to this to the building of the new car park. I'm also delighted in a way to say that it's great that of the 4 new institutes of technology that have been agreed by the government, that one of them is in Hillingdon. It's here at Uxbridge College, and we should be very proud of that. I don't believe there's going to be a problem. So I would like to move the acceptance of the officer's recommendations.
Anybody else? Oh, thank you. That was, I think you were the second hand. The second is that. Anybody got any queries with this one? No? In that case, all those in favour, please shout. Thank you very much. That one's approved. Thank you very much indeed. 18 minutes past 7. That will do us.